Hi, Rick here from Pedal Preservation and welcome to another Marketplace makeover where we take a bike, preferably free, from Marketplace and actually see if a free bike is actually free. So first things we need to do a classic M check. So if you can imagine your M on the bike. So first thing we want to do is we want to check the front wheel bearings. So all you need to do, grab the fork and give the wheel a wiggle from side to side. Give it a wee spin. Certainly sounds quiet and there's no play in that front wheel at all. Then we want to check the headset. Again, you can just grab your fork and the top and just give that a wiggle from side to side. Again, you're just looking for some play. Turn the handlebars. Everything feels solid and smooth, so that is definitely okay. So we're good here, good here. Down to the bottom bracket, same again. We just want to give that you can give a wee pedal backwards. That feels fine. Give it a wee rock. Fractional amount of play. So on a bike of this age, I reckon this is probably from, I don't know, maybe late 90s, early noughties. That is absolutely fine. Now, one of the most important things but easily missed on a bike is the seat post. If the seat post is stuck and corroded in, well, to be honest with you, the bike is just scrap because they're very difficult to get out unless you have the right tools. And if the seat post is stuck, then how do you adjust your seat? So the bike would be a fluke if it would actually fit you. I've already checked this before then because it's the first thing I do. There'd be no point in doing a video if the seat post is stuck because I'm not into freeing off seat posts, so we know that's okay. Then coming back down to the back wheel, same again, just grab the forks, give the wheel a wee wiggle. That feels absolutely solid. Wheels spinning backwards okay, no bother there. So basic M check and we're okay. Now we can move on to things like the sundry thing, because if any one of these things is gone, then you're talking major work, and if you're not used to it, it's not going to be a basic service and it's going to take a lot more time. Now we can move on to the simpler things, like for example on this bike it would be the brakes and the shifters. Now I felt the brakes absolutely, well, they're not solid, but if there's any oil in there, that is just turned to jelly. So they are solid. The shifters are just literally don't work either, so they're solid. So I'm hoping some degreaser lubrication into those and we should be good to go on those. Everything else seems to work okay. Freewheel seems to be working all right, although it's a little bit corroded. Derailleur a bit corroded, but again, it seems to be working okay. The brakes definitely need adjusted. We can actually just pull these out just now, because one of the first things we'll do is be taking the wheels off, and the brake levers feel okay, but again we'll be addressing all that in this video. So first things first, let's whip the wheels off. So first things first, we'll take the back off first. Just gives us way better access into the bike. We can also have a better feel of the wheel bearings, etc. Don't need to take the nuts off, just slacken them off and then grab the derailleur there, pull it back and the wheel just drops out. Put that down there and do the same with the front. Again, just slacken them off, don't need to remove the nuts completely. And obviously your brakes are unclipped, so they'll be in the way, and then this will just, there's like a little lip at the bottom of the fork, so it just needs to drop off, and that's just got the wheels out. The bike will be much lighter, but one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to put air in the tyres. Reason for this is we've got the time that we're working on the bike to see if the tyres go down. So first tyre, let's put the valve on. Nope, it's certainly taking the air. Sorry, my thing actually leaks a bit, it's not the best. So we're going to put that to say, I don't know, if you look at the wall of the tyre, it will tell you, I think, I can't see it straight away, but it's probably about 50 psi, 50, 60. So we'll go up to 50. There we go. So that's that one done. And then we'll soon see by the end of the video if the tyres have gone down at all. This is also going to tell me as well if the tyres being that old are just going to basically explode. But you know what? Let's put some money on the lottery because those tyres are looking like they're okay. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to start up at the handles, up at the grip shifters and the brakes, and we're just going to start squirting some lube in at the back of there. This is just going to go into all the pivot points. In this case, this is not where the problem is. It's going to be the actual cables running down. So we've done that. So now what we're going to do, well, basically we're going to be removing all the brake housings, etc. So on here, you've got like a slot. If I get it round, you will see it. See the wee slot there? We can just turn that down, and there's a wee slot runs along the bottom of the brakes as well. Oh, actually, I will tell. Oh no, it runs along the back of the brake on this one. Normally it's along the bottom. So we can just pop that out. Interesting. Alright, here we go. Right, probably not the easiest one to manipulate. Well, get the cable out. There we go. And that'll just give us a little bit extra room. But actually looking at these cables, you know, we could actually get away with just actually lubing these, but I am tempted. I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to lube them, but if I'm getting a bit of resistance, then I'm going to replace these. So we can just scoop some oil in there, into there, on the cables. So we're just going to have to let that soak in because we've not got full access to the cable, but already I can feel that going in and out, and that is actually feeling relatively promising. And being a short cable, hopefully that is just going to work in. So we can just leave that dangling down just now. We'll do the same on the rear brake. So we need to get our slots. There's the slots lined up. Turn around the back. Now, I have disconnected the brakes on the back. Let's give them as much play as possible. Oh jeez, this is just so gummed up. I think there might be more going on than meets the eye. Oh, there we go, got that out. Well, these are not the easiest brakes to access. I think in the instance of the back one, I'm going to have to replace it. The issue is I don't know if I can move that around, but the brake cable normally stops here, starts there. So we can take all the tension out, and then the outer can be slid back down here, giving us full access to the cable. But in this case, it's actually a full run cable, which is unusual. That is unusual. I'm wondering whether, you know what we're going to do? I think we might actually cut the cable, take the whole thing out, and then we can assess it whether to actually just replace it. In fact, this nut here that holds that labelling is actually already slack. Now, one thing I have noticed, I think we would have to have sorted this anyway, but I don't know if you can see this, that, oh, where's it going? Oh, it's up here. See that shroud? It's all chewed up. So we were going to actually have to replace this piece anyway. So that's not a problem, but we didn't have to take the cable out to do it. But we are going to take the cable out, and I think if we take this cable out, I'm just going to replace it because I don't see that going back in. So if we, in fact, I'm going to cut the bend off the end. It's a little bit, you can see that it's a little bit squiggly in the end. So we cut that off. That way when the cable's going back through, it won't do any damage to the inside of the cable because we are leaving the inside of the cable. See, boom, out. Let's have a look. I mean, as cables go, it's actually alright. There's a few kinks in it, but now the fact that I've taken it out, we'll just put a new one in. But this could go back in. There we go. One off. So we just need to put, I just put a little bit on my hand, so I'm pincing it in my fingers, and then just start running the cable down. little bit more. There we go, blop, right to the end. Sweet as a nut. I mean, what you could do once we've got the cable off, you could actually have just sprayed oil down there, but I don't think we need it because there was no corrosion. There was no corrosion, so I don't think that the inner is in a poor state or anything. I think that's going to work fine. This is interesting though. Right, okay, what I'm going to have to do is the end of the outer is a little bit kinked. So it's not a problem, but I'm going to have to cut it. So I don't know, and spin that around whether you can see that there. It's just got a wee kink in it. So I'm just going to take the very end off to straighten it. And then, whoops, drop my stuff. Just check there's no, you do get a slight bar, which I'm just going to take the edge of it off. There we go. And then what we need is a punch, because when you crimp it, it will close the hole. There's no point in struggling to get the thingy-bobber in. Now, unfortunately, the outer I actually don't have any. That is a bit of a pain. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to reutilise this one, but before I finish, I will put a new one on it, but just for the purposes. I'll reutilise this one. I've just cut the burr off the edge of it, so it's fine, but a little short. But let's see. I could have sworn I had some new ones, but I don't see any there. Oh, there she goes. Don't know if you can see that now. That's just popped out at the end. We can suck that in all the way. And then what I can do is, well, I can now feel that the shifter is absolutely fine. No issues there. So all the issues were here. So we can hook this back in. You can't see it, but I don't know if I can spin that up so you can. Oh, it's a bit tight. But there's like a slot in the bottom there, and the same shape as that, and that can hook in like that. And then we take it round, and as I said earlier, there was, no, in fact, no, we can't do it this way. It's a very strange lever. That's got to actually go into the hole first, and then we put it in from below, lining all those slots up again. This is the thing, this bike manufacturers seem to keep everything almost the same, but they just have slight differences. Right, okay, so that's in there. And then what we will do is, remember I said about that piece that was knackered? So I've got a new one here, ready to go on. I knew I was going to be doing that. So I'll slot this on. Boop, it comes out there. I can go on there. And this will go through here, but I'm not going to finish this part off completely because I tend to put all the cables through at the end. But this is now pretty much sorted there. What I will do is, now that I've done that, I'm just going to put a little squirt oil into the brakes, on the shoes, but actually on the mechanisms that work. See, I mean, they're absolutely smooth, no issues there at all, back and forth, no problems. Because, as with all the bikes, this will be getting donated, so it will go off to a new home. And when it's going off to a new home, it has to be proper right, because I'm going to donate it to the local bike library, and then they will do like a proper check. So what I'm going to do is, that little rubber doofer on the end, that is actually okay, but it's a bit rusty. You know, why reutilize it? You see on that one, there's a little bit of corrosion. Sorry, my light's a bit funny, a bit of corrosion on the leading edge there, but it's all kinked at the end. So again, we can put another brake cable on that. I'm looking at my stash of cables. Where the hell's my brake? Oh, there they are, over there. Get this off without it being a problem to the rest of them. We need our oil. You'll see I'm just using all-weather chain lube. Anything would do. 3-in-1 does absolutely no problem at all. Don't get suckered into the whole, you know, bike thing. Like, oh, it's got to be like bike branded and stuff. It does not. Oil's oil. Just got to make sure it's meant to do that job, if you know what I mean. Because you do sometimes get some weird modern oils. Right, we're just gonna put. No, sorry, I thought that was a wee bit rough there, but I think it is fine. Right, we're gonna have lots left over. So I don't know if you can see this here, but you see the wee slot? That's what we're going into. So what you do is you just line the whole thing up. Let's get the light on it. See, we've got all our slots. There you go. And then the part that it goes into, so we've just got to jiggle that and it just goes right in like a slot, see? And then just turn that to lock it in, and then that one can go back in place. We'll just spin that back down. I'll tighten that up later. So this doesn't go very far. I've got another, yes I do. Got another one of these. And we just want to pop that down into the front. Boom, there she goes. So that will be, so that all goes into there, but that will be getting hooked onto there when we put all the brakes back together. But we'll do that at the end. Won't do it now, and I'll cut all these etc. at the end. Just unscrew that, so I don't know, again, I don't even see it, but this, the cable goes into the back of there and there's like a small hole. So you just like thread in the needle, and then when this nut gets tightened up, it pulls all that through and that's what grips it. So job will be a good one, but that's now feeling fine. That feels fine, so I don't think I'm going to have any more issues with the brake. So now is the shifters, and yeah, shifters aren't the easiest of things because they vary so much. So what I might show, what I'm doing is I'm going in at the nut on the back of the derailleur. There we go. Now I've snipped it, so I'm just taking, it's literally just the wee bit off the end. Right, and obviously without that, things like the cable housing, that can all come out. And what I'm hoping is that it is just the shifter cable that is what the problem is, although that's actually all feeling okay. So, oh no, see? So that is actually feeling all right. So probably didn't need to cut that. Love it. But I do want to get a new cable in there, and that is a little bit of a faff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the video, double check how the hell I get into this grip shift, and then we'll come back. Okay, so fast forward, I've done this one. It took me quite a while to figure out how to do it, but I've done it. So I'm going to show you how to do it on this one, because grip shifters, some of them are easy, some of them are not so easy. So first we actually have to get the grip shift off the handlebar, because this is going to pull apart and this is locked in place at the moment. So we have to get this part off. I find the best way to do it is try and get in some alcohol in behind it, which seems to loosen off, but I want to get all this loose first so we can slacken off the brake lever, pull that forward, and the grip shift, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a wee grub screw in the back of there. This just holds it, this doesn't take it apart, this just holds it onto the bars. We get the right, that's a bit, I think somebody has actually been in here already. There we go, got that sliding. And now just got to try and get some alcohol in at the back of it, and that should start to get it moving. Right, I'm gonna have to get, don't like doing this, but just get a screwdriver in under the back of it. Again, more alcohol. Oh, it's starting to move. I better come round. You still see me? There we go. It's moving. It's amazing. Just a little bit of alcohol. It just, the capillary action, it just shoots along there. And watch your wee washer as well. Take those off. And then this can come off. Right, should have a bit of slack on the cable. So there we've got the grip shift. So what we need to do is we need to get this cable out. So we can unscrew that. This is just the adjuster. But, right, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to just change the cable, seeing I've got it apart. I'm going to slacken it off from the front derailleur here, because we've kind of come this far. Again, this you wouldn't probably need to do, but you know what, wrong spanner. We're going to just change the cables for because of who it's for. So that can drop out. Cable on the bottom there, it comes out. Spin right back round again. Where are we? Oh, we're here. See, suddenly we've got all this slack because the cable's going to want to fall out. So we can take that off. Now this actually just pulls apart. The reason we had to take off the handlebars, there's like inside there's like little claws that hold this part on. Now this should just pull apart, but I'll tell you what. Right, had to do a wee break there because it took me ages, but I finally got it off, and this is what we're trying to achieve, where this just slides out. Now I can see it now. These little claws is what clamps on the inside. So we can, whoops, just push that to the ground. Right, so what we need to do, we need to get the little white bracket out. This slides on there. So what we can do actually is we can put a little bit of grease on there, just to make it run. This whole thing is actually a little dry, and I don't know whether they're meant to be like that, but we'll just put a little bit of grease at the back. Sure it won't do any harm. In fact, I need my pliers, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to take you see it there, there's like a cable in there. Oh, there she goes. That's all we were trying to do. Now we've got to feed all that back through, so we need to, I don't want this to drop to the ground, but it's going to happen. We've got cables, we've got all sorts of stuff that can all come out. Right, first things first. Get that there. This needs to go back through the hole. There's the hole. There's the hole. We don't need to really lube it at this point because we've not got it through the cable, etc. So that can go in there. There we go. Now just make sure it goes in and seats properly, otherwise, sorry, I'm just going to put all the bits in my hand. Otherwise it'll bed down later, and it might just give you shifting problems. So if you're unsure how this goes back in, that is going to go in, like, let me see it there. If you think about where the cable is going to go, the cable goes out like round there, so you're kind of making sure that's going the same way. So we can put that in like that, and then if you look in the shifter, there's like notches, so we could probably just put that into the furthest down notch, and that comes through the hole. See, got in a wee slot like that. In fact, what I will do is I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on there. If you can hear that knocking noise, that is my wife in the kitchen making the tea. I have no idea what she's beating to death, but I wish it would submit. We'll put that back on. And we can also put back on, there's just a little plastic cover there. I don't know why it actually has that. I mean, no, I suppose it makes it easier to go through. That should actually just clip into place. Yeah. There we go. And then we need, so that's on there, and then the shifter handle can now get pushed back in. Just squeeze that in. There we go. Now we want to get the shifter to the right. I think we're on the easiest gear, or is it the hardest gear? I can't remember. But there's a, you gotta look for a slot. I don't know if you can see it, but it's in the back there. There's a groove for it to go into. There we go. Just have a quick burl to check it's fine. Now we did take out the metal collar, so we'll have to put that back in. There we go. Then we had the set screw. Strange looking screw. Obviously don't want to go all the way through where it comes out. Now we can slide this back on the handlebar. Now this one goes at the back of the brake lever. So we'll just put that on there, and then we'll need the alcohol. Put on there, and then this just twists back on. See, dead easy. What will happen is the alcohol will dry. Boom, that can come back, and then grub screw in the back. Don't have to go crazy, just on. Like a glove. Right, now we've got the cable. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to squirt a little bit of lube down the cable. Doesn't really need this because I've already put lube on the actual cable, but yeah, when in Rome. Right, we can thread this back in. Slick as. Give it a wee twist just to get it off the last bit. And this will go back up into the hole there, and then twist this around. I've got the wee pickup there, it can fit into there, and then it will go down here. Bottom of the frame, there's two grooves, so one will be for the rear derailleur, which is up here, and then this one is the front derailleur, so that will go to the far side. There we go, that goes through there and then comes up at the back. So that can go in, yeah, that's in there. But what we might do, although that's going to stop us doing it, but the rear shifter, we could pop that in as well. Although this is not ideal way of doing it, it's just that it's going to be easier for you to see on the video. And it can go through. Boom, but that's just going to come out the back of the tailpipe. But we'll just leave it like that now, and then pop this back down again, spin the bars back around. Right, oh. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this back up here. Was there a hole for that, or is it just tighten on it? Sometimes it's worth just noting. Right, I think there's a wee groove at the back of that for it to come through. There we go. Don't know if you can see that, but let's spin that round a bit. It just comes round the back of the nut. But as I say, I'm just going to be nicking it up. I'm not going full tight, and I'm also not cutting it either. I'm just going to leave that slack. But what I can do is I can move over and put the cable back through the derailleur. Again, I'm just going to put some lube down there. Now one thing I like to do, if there's any adjusters, which there is on the back here, I'm going to adjust them so there's adjustment to be had. I think this is a little bit tight, this one, so I may have to, yeah, I think the threads are a little bit Well, no, there's a spring on the bottom of it and the spring's compressed, that's what it is. So actually that was all the way down. So we'll take the cable from the rear derailleur, just make sure, yep, so that's getting shorter, that's getting longer. And then we can run this through. There we go. Now what I need to do is, I think I've actually just got that on the wrong side of the chain. Yep, I had. That should be through there like that. Would have found that out later on. Joy. So, in fact, we leave that out just now. We don't need to put that in yet. Then through there. Actually, let's do it now. Feel we're at that stage. Boom, like that, and then once again, we can just pop that around the back of the clamp. Here, they need to be screwed all the way in as well. Otherwise, in fact, I have not done that. These need to be as short as possible so that I've got loads of adjustment. Because typically, in fact, they go all the way, so you screw them till they stop, and then just go back, like maybe one turn. So again, we're not going to go crazy. I'm just going to nip up, and I'm not tightening anything up. Bing, bing, bing. Right, that one's still a bit slack. Okay, that's right, because I slackened it off. So I'm going to slacken this off again. Just take the tension out of it, and then tighten it back up again. Again, I'm not going crazy yet, because I don't want to squish all the cables, and then I've got to readjust it. So you see that now. Derailleur at the back there, we've got movement. It does feel a little bit stiff, so I know it's not the cable, so it might just simply be this thing just hasn't worked in ever. There we go, and out. Grip shifters are a weird one. They either are slick or they're not, and the weird thing is you can see they've got that one. It won't go very far because it's hitting the chain, but you can see it moving. Get a little bit of lube on that as well. Just let that soak in the now. Go mad. There we go. Okay, so actually cables are now done. Now some bikes do, some bikes don't have front forks. I'll be honest, when they're this sort of fork, they just literally don't work. I'm honest, I forgot to actually check. Oh, it does work a wee bit. You could strip it down, it wouldn't take much effort. In fact, actually no, I just realised there's no... We could open them up. Oh, I don't know if I've got the tool to do it. The easiest thing probably here, because it's not going to do a lot, is we're just going to get some lube into the stanchions. So we could just use a screwdriver or something just to open it up, and then we just spray some GT85 in there, and that would just make a massive difference. But it's almost like a case where if they don't work, it's actually better. I know that sounds a bit strange, but they're a bit clunky. That just lets it slide down. Do the same again on this one. Now there's a bit of rust actually on this, on the stanchions on there. That is absolutely not a problem. Unfortunately, all we really need is a bit of steel wool. Weirdly enough, I don't have any steel wool handy, so I'm going to skip along from that just now, but I will be looping back round to that to do that, and you would not believe how well that actually comes up. Absolutely blinging. Okie dokie, so we're really getting there now. So we have, so the wheels were fine, if I remember right. In fact, as I was saying earlier, once you've got them off, now these are a little bit gummed up. What I'm going to do is in fact actually that's starting to loosen up already, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to squirt a tiny bit of GT5, which should go in there and kind of loosen it up a wee bit, just not much. So I don't want to completely degrease the whole thing out, because it might actually just be the seals that are tight. Ah, there you go, see, that's just freeing up nice now. A touch more. There you go, that's some loosened up, so that's that one. Now the back wheel, I think there's a bit more going on. See, that's the same, it's quite gummed, but the difference is with the back wheel, we have a cassette on it. It's a little bit of play in there, not a great deal. What we can do is, we can just squirt a little bit of this just down. In fact, what we will do, because that's a bit on the thin side, we'll actually just drop some, I don't know, sorry, I'm just, yep, into this little groove here. And then what we do is spin it, and then that'll just capillary down into the freewheel hub. Some of these you can take apart, some of them you can't. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to, because I don't want to take everything apart, I could take the cassette off, etc., but I'm just going to put some wet lube down there, which should go down into the axle and help loosen that up as well. See, that sounds a bit better, because there's no play in it, and once you start opening these things up, it's just a bit of a can of worms. And I feel sometimes if you don't need to open up the worms, there's no point in doing it. Especially, I mean, this is a very, very old bike, and it's going to make a great bike for someone, but we don't want to turn it into like a full rebuild. Right, that's absolutely, you can hear that's tickety boo. So perfect. So we know they're good. Tires are still pumped up as well, which is good, which means we've not lost any air, so that's good. Oh, I'll put a little bit of oil on the pivots on this, which we did on the back one, but we didn't do it on these ones. See, I'm just gonna little bit lube there, and just in at the back of the pivots. Just try not to get it on the brakes, but be honest, even you get on the brakes though, that would burn off really quickly. But what I'm also going to do as well, just checking the condition of the brakes, the brake pads, because what we don't want is we don't want them all grooved, and I mean grooves going that way. They're okay, back ones are okay. Because if you see my other video, the brake blocks were all grooved where they were clamping onto the wheel, they were going round the wheel, so the brake blocks were literally shaped like that. And what we did is we took them off and we sanded them smooth again, because the brake blocks were actually fine, but they just worn in an uneven way. So we sorted that out, and all was forgiven. Right, I think we can actually start putting this bike back together again. Oh, there's another one as well, but what we'll do, we'll get everything back on, we're going to check the chain as well, because you might have to replace that. So, wheels. Get the front one on first. Now, wheels can be directional. I don't think these ones are directional, but I'm just going to check. No, not seeing anything. But what you're normally looking for is you're looking for like a tyre tread, like in a V pattern, and the V goes forward. Right, I'll need my spanner. Got it. Right, so we can, oh, drop right out of shot. Be a bit better. So we can just pop the wheel in. Up into the grooves, just use your knee to hold it up. Get them nuts in. Just do them up hand tight, and then you can stop, because what we'll need to do is, I don't know if you're looking at the wheel, we need to make sure the wheel's in the middle. So for example, it's right over to that side. I don't know if you can see that, but tiny gap there, big gap there, that's no good. So you can actually just pull that with your finger, tighten up one side, just nicking it up. We don't need to go full tilt, and then do the other side. And we want that wheel so it's still off centre. Nothing to go by is the centre of the tyre and the wee mudguard mount. So I'm going to slacken off one side, and I'm going to pull that across again. There we go. That is centred. Because if you don't get that right, you're going to have problems when your brakes come on. Pull out of the way. You know, they won't hit central. Now, at the moment, these brake blocks are actually hitting the tyres. Could be because we've got different tyres on them, but I think it's more likely is because I actually don't know because it can't be running like that. So we need to get our Allen key and we can slacken off. So on the brake blocks you've got the nut adjuster, so when we adjust that or slacken it off, you'll see the brake pad just becomes all wobbly. So what we want to do is just push that back up to the wheel. You see it in there, and what you can do is you can use the bottom of your hand to hold it to the profile of the wheel so it's not hitting the tire, and then we can get the right nuts. Right, we just do it up. What we're doing, we just want to go up, use your finger to support it, because when you start tightening it up it'll start twisting it, and we can back it off, hold it in place. That's a nice hit. Right, now, so we know they go in okay, nice. Now we can start connecting all this back up. So we just pull the boot back. It's got a tight boot, which is good because that means when it pushes back on it's going to keep all the dirt out. So pull that and then put that back on, and then we can start pulling all this through rather than down here. So we can pull this in fact, hold your hands, pull it all the way in. I've got two spanners, that's going to make it hard, and then just pull down so it doesn't go back. But what we want to do is we just want to give it a tiny amount of give, so I'm just going to let that slip very slightly. And then start figuring out whether I actually have picked up the right spanner, or am I the spanner. Okay, just hand tighten it first and take the slack out of it. Again, don't go crazy on this, because if we have to adjust it. So brakes are working. We've got an even pull from both sides, because if it wasn't, we can make adjustments on the adjuster screws and that to make that happen. But we're going to look back round to that. But that's good. I should probably tighten this one up now. Again, I've not cut that yet. There's probably no reason for it. I usually just do it all at the end. Put this back into there. Look that on the gear it was on, which I think was the smallest one. Ugh. And then this can go back into the dropouts. High school dropouts. Now, because you've got a derailleur here and there's a wee nut there, probably worth putting this one in first. Not going crazy, but just a wee light tighten, because that can only come so far back. And then once again, we want to make sure the wheel gaps are correct here, but also down here as well. So you can get them centered up with your wheel and then tighten up the other side. Because either what's going to happen, either things are going to start rubbing, and these tires are actually slightly bigger than what the bike would actually come with. We're on the limit. There's a 1.9 is what it normally comes with. These are 2.1s, so they're actually a little bit chunkier. The reason is for that is you would watch my other video and you would find out where I had to swap these over, because the other bike I was doing, those brakes are right. So those brakes are actually spot on. That's great. Sorry, the other tires are actually that were on this bike are actually onto another bike, which had mudguards, and that's why I needed to get tires the right size. Otherwise, they wouldn't fit under the mudguards, and even then, it was a bit borderline. So just pop that back in there. And we're going to do the same with this side as well. In fact, see, that was actually out. Had to make sure that's screwed in all the way, but that was actually out. So we'd have tightened all that up and then had to do it again. So again, I'm pulling tight, and I'm just going to let it just going to give it a tiny bit of slack. Yep, right, that does feel a bit better there, and then that feels like I have nicked it up. Get all this stuff out of the way. We're going to cut the cables and put the ends on. I like to normally leave this to the end because it's kind of like a finishing touch, but to be honest with you, they're just all getting in the way. Just put them on. we go. Oh, never cut that one. Oh, actually I need 4 of these. Well, I will get some. Just, you know, well, put it this way, it'd be something you'd be checking, that's for sure. Right, so I think we're on point for that one. Now, of course, there's the front derailleur hanger now, which we need to adjust, or at least see if it's moving correctly. So at the moment we're in the bottom cog. Okay, so I think we're in a slightly better angle. And this, okay, so that's going up. Okay, see, we're into the top gear and we've got 3. So that's should be, there we go. And then bottom 1. And top 1. Good thing about these in that you've got multi-point index, it's not just 3 positions. So when the derailleur pulls over too far, if you find that it's now hitting, the chain is now hitting the inside of the guide, you can actually drop it back a notch. Now I'm just noticing that this is actually touching that, so I'm wondering if ring spanner would probably be better, but this is what I get. So we just want to go enough knot, just enough to twist it round slightly. There we go. What I'm doing is I'm just looking down there to make sure that that is straight, and it is, so we can tighten that back up. So that's top gear, actually sounds quite good. You see it's rubbing, but I can just click that back. Boom, good as gold. Okie dokie, so mechanically now the bike is literally almost there. We've fixed all the brakes, we know the wheels are good, changing gear fine, but of course we need to check the chain, which we had done. We were going to leave that until we had the wheels on. So this is a chain checking tool. So that hooks on one part and then that slides in front of the next. So it goes in like that, and then this part slides down. Well, that's the point. So as you can see that literally does not go in at all. That is actually a very good chain. Right, so what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to give the chain a clean, a degrease and clean. It feels actually okay, but we'll just give it a clean. So I'm going to use the GT85. It's a degreaser and lubricant all in one. So we just, that still sounds a bit rough, but we're just going to get a fluffy rag, wrap it around, just take the excess off. That chain is going to be a good one, but what we will do, we'll actually just apply some wet chain lube, which we've got. We've got our PT's chain lube. Because this is just a bit thicker, it's the winter. The GT85 would be fine in the summer, but we're currently in the winter, so that, to be honest, first time it was left outside, that would wash off. I think we're going to have to take the door disc off, or at least take it off and replace it, because that is just making such a noise. I don't know if you can hear it. So what do you think of this marketplace makeover? I think yes, you truly can get bikes for free on marketplace that need a minimal amount of work to get going. Like for example, this bike, this is going to take a teenager to school, absolutely no problem at all. What have we done? We've really only replaced the cables on it, so probably cost wise about £5. Yes, if you get in your local bike shop to do it, might not have been such a good idea, and because of these particular shifters, it was a little bit of a tragic job to do. But there are other shifters on bikes, like the ones with the little paddles. They are much easier to change the cables on, and definitely something that you could do at home. Or check out your local bike co-op. A lot of times there's bike co-ops everywhere that allow you to take a bike in. There's experts there all the time. You get to use their tools. So for the cost of a few pounds for parts, you can get your free Facebook Marketplace bike up and running. And that's certainly what this one is. This was truly as good as you'll probably get as a free bike on Marketplace. Because sometimes when you pay for bikes on Marketplace, don't think that you're going to avoid all these issues. You could pay £50 for this bike on Marketplace before we got it, and it kind of felt okay, but really it wasn't going to be okay. But now for the new owner, the gears are all changing. Yeah, there's a couple of things I'm going to do. The rear derailleur, I think, has got a wee bend in it. When I get it down to the bike library, I'll get the guys to check all that out, realign it, and those gears will be changing great, no bother at all. We've got a couple of the little ferrule end caps to go in some of the cables. Obviously I've just not got those, I've run out. But other than that, everything else was absolutely fine, and this is going to do its new owner a real good term of service. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I can churn these out a bit more. This is one of my first videos, so maybe the videography wasn't brilliant, but you know what, I'm just getting the hang of it, and hopefully I'm trying to move my camera around a lot more, and you can see a bit more of what's actually going on. But thanks very much, bye.